Hi, everybody. Charlie and Linda Bloom are back to be with you today, and we're talking about a really important subject, respect and ways to show it. I looked up respect in the dictionary, and it says showing a high regard for someone's abilities, capacities, qualities, and accomplishments. So having respect for somebody and showing that is different than having the feeling of love for them, because it's more about the specifics of who they are, their signature strengths, their beautiful qualities, and how much they contribute to our life. So of course, we always use our relationship as an example, and we use romantic partnerships about driving the level of well-being in our romantic partnerships up to higher levels. But if you have somebody who's important in your life who is not a romantic partner, that you think you would like to apply these ways to show your respect that you feel for them, by all means, if you have a very close friend or if you have a family member, sometimes the close friends we refer to as family of choice, you can apply all of these ways of bringing the level of reciprocal respect up into a higher level of being. And it is one of the earmarks of the exemplary relationships. You know, we did this anecdotal study about the happiest couples we could find, and then trace the golden threads that were similar in all of them. All of them have a very high level of respect for each other and show it in many, many, many different ways. And of course, one of the simple ways to find out how you're doing with this is not just the assessment about how you feel respected by them, but to ask them, do they feel that they are receiving a very high level of respect and high level of regard from you? And you might find some surprises. There may be ways that you may be crediting yourself and you haven't quite risen up to the level of golden. We want the people who work with us to hit the golden strata where their relationships are the best that they can possibly be. So we're going to give you some ideas of some ways to show respect. If you're doing these already, you can pat yourself on the back and say, yes, yes, I knew that one. We have that going for us regularly. And if there's any places that show where you could improve, not to guilt yourself about that, just to notice that there's room for improvement, always room to grow.
Right. Yeah, that's a word that you can use that will show respect to your partner is when, of course, you have to mean it. You can't fake it. You can, but usually people can tell whether you mean it or not. But to validate them in ways that may seem pretty obvious to you, may seem unnecessary, but it really makes a difference when you acknowledge somebody outwardly for a feeling that you have inside. And that's really what respect is. It's an inner experience. And it really all begins with the intention, that there is an intention to gift them with a sign of your care, your concern, your desire for them to recognize and be acknowledged for something that you appreciate, that you value about them. And, the thing about showing respect is that it's always available. You can, even at those times when you might have other feelings that are getting in the way, it's always possible to make a choice to redirect your attention to an intention to show them some form of appreciation or gratitude, or that comes through your acknowledgement of respect. And like Linda said, it's about something in particular that you value in them. And there are always things that if we look for it, and if we have the desire to show respect and to feel it, then it's always available to us.
So I want to give you an example. I'm a concrete thinker, so I think examples are really useful. To be honest with our partner or the person who has real meaningful relationship with us, that is a way of showing our respect for them. To be willing to bring up some of the tough subjects, to not withhold, to not put things in the denial zone. And I don't believe in brutal honesty, but I believe in reaching for a way to say the difficult things so that we establish honesty and forthrightness in our relationship. That is creating a high level of respect, that we hold them as strong enough to be able to take the truth, that we hold ourselves as being responsible and careful enough to figure out how to say, especially the difficult things that sometimes need to be spoken of. So we are going to need to become an expert on our partner. We're going to need to know what their strengths are, and definitely to acknowledge them for that, but also to know what their sore spots are so that we can be careful of those. And we all have them. We've all been wounded. We've all been betrayed. We've all been let down. We've all been lied to. We've all been exploited. So we have some places that are sore with us. If we learn what those are, we can be more careful and responsible in the way we relate to our partner, and not dance around the edges and not bring up the things, but to bring them up in such a tactful, careful way, caring way, that they get that we respect, that they have their great strength, and that they have their sore spots just like we all do.
So we're not talking about walking on eggshells where you're so careful that you're constantly in fear of activating the other person's anxieties or reactivity or defensiveness or anger, but just to be, to use a word of the day, respecting of their sensitivity, and just to be mindful of how you express yourself when you're having a conversation, particularly one in which one or both of you may have some sensitivities about a particular subject or different subjects. So to be aware of and respectful of those sensitivities. And you know, the word respect has within it the term spec, which really it means to see clearly, to respect, to see again, to really give your full attention. You used the word intention earlier, but to also give your full attention to that person and really try to see them for who they are, particularly in reference to what you see as positive about them, because sometimes it's very easy to get pulled into a negative perspective. There's the spec word again, where we tend not to see them with eyes of appreciation or gratitude, but we tend to see them through fault-finding eyes. And it's always easy to remind yourself to see, but who else is here besides this person that right now I have a grievance with, for example, and to see those aspects, or a particular aspect that you do feel respect for, that you do feel appreciation for.
So one of the ways in which we are challenged to up-level the kind of respect that we bring to our communication and the way we associate with people who are dear to us is to be what we call, sometimes we call it becoming a warrior of the heart. Sometimes we call it practicing conscious combat. We also have referred to it as becoming a worthy opponent and holding our partner as a worthy opponent. So when you think of handling differences with grace and style, you will want to bring your complaint to them. This is not working for me, in a respectful way, but not go over the line to criticism, which is already getting you into the disrespectful zone. So there are ways to do that. You talk about yourself and what you feel and what you need. You're willing to be vulnerable. That's very respectful of the other person. That you're willing to bring the issues to them, not talking to them behind their back. That you respect privacy, that you respect that they're the first person to know about your dissatisfaction, that you don't go talking to your sister and your girlfriends and your women's group and other people, that you show them the courtesy and respect of bringing your grievance to them. Another way of doing it is with really high-level warriorship is to watch the tone in your voice. Sometimes people have a cutting edge on their voice. Sometimes they have sarcasm that they use. We learned some really unskillful means in our family to try to one up and to win, and those kinds of things. We really need to be scrupulously honest with ourselves to get all the sarcasm out of there. There's a way to speak our truth in a softer and gentler way without the cutting. There's a way to speak our truth without tone in our voice that can oftentimes be contemptuous of the other person. And get rid of all the words that are contemptuous and the behaviors like rolling our eyes. There's so many ways, particularly when we're talking about the difficult subjects, to rise up to a higher level of responsibility and show our respect for the other person.
Yeah, the word responsibility always comes into play in conversations about respect, because when we are in a fault-finding or blaming mood and we're tending to project blame or resentment onto our partner, which, by the way, doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with being angry. That we all experience that from time to time in various degrees, but it's whether we are experiencing responsible anger in which we're talking about, this is what's bothering me. This is what I'm concerned about. This is what I'm upset with. And it's okay to really be, to feel that anger when you're experiencing it. And that can be a very respectful act, as long as you're not making the other person responsible for your feelings, as long as you're not faulting them because you made me angry. You shouldn't have done that. Projecting judgments and fault finding. But to really take responsibility for this is what I'm experiencing, and to take it a step further, and this is what I'm needing, or this is what would help me to feel better right now. So I'm not only expressing a grievance, but I'm also proposing a possible solution.
Mm-hmm. So there are ways in which we're challenged to really think very creatively and to speak very responsibly when we're challenged working with the differences, because the emotionality starts to be high. But I want to also say that sometimes people take it for granted that the other person knows how valued and respected they are. And it's so nice to hear, even if on an intellectual basis you know that you're respected, it's nice to hear the specifics. It's nice to hear when your partner comes up with a good idea. It's great to hear, for them to hear, you're full of good ideas. I love that idea. That's a workable idea. Let's implement that right away. It's also really wonderful when we make an unskillful choice and we catch ourselves red-handed, making some kind of an error, maybe we were forgetful, to apologize right away. That's showing respect for our partner, that we're truly sorry and that we're going to clean it up. And that if they make a mistake, we can show our respect for their humanness and show some compassion and say, you know, I could have done it too. Things like this happen. Please don't beat yourself up about that. It's such a normal thing. And this shows that we have confidence and respect that they're a good person, that they're a capable person. So when we acknowledge you're full of good ideas and we're imperfect, and I really think that you're a great person and I respect who you are, and we give them the specifics, no matter how much money they make or they don't, I think you really contribute to this family. I see that you contribute in so many ways besides the material ways. I'm so grateful that after seeing you work all day, you still come home and you do laundry and cooking and dishes and load that dishwasher and empty it. These little things that go on every day, you know, that we reach for to mention it. And I'm going to tell you one thing that where you get a really, really, really lot of points is not only if you declare the specifics to your partner in privacy, but if you declare the respect and admiration that you have for who they are, the qualities, the capabilities, and the accomplishments with people witnessing, that can be very powerful and really fill up their soul tank.
That at times can be a bridge too far. That can sometimes be more than you're up for doing. There is a distinct line between acknowledgement and praise. Mm-hmm. And so there are going to be times when, you're not really, maybe you can acknowledge a person for something, but you're not up for praising them, and praise isn't always necessarily the best thing to do anyway. But acknowledgement simply means to recognize something as accurately, factually real and true and valid. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily mean, when you're acknowledging somebody, it doesn't mean that you're talking necessarily about how wonderful they are. But you're acknowledging a fact. You're recognizing meaning you're seeing again something that's true, and you're just speaking the truth about that. You're validating that. Yeah, it is so that this is something that is real. It's true.
Mm-hmm. Here's a way that may be challenging for some of us. It certainly has been for me in the past, not so much now, but respecting how different they are from us, that they have a different history, that they have a different style of being in the world, they have different areas of passion. So we have an opportunity to really stretch and grow and let them know that we respect who they are, that's so different from the way we are. And that can be a reach sometimes. They may have an interest or area of passion, for instance, spiritual practice. Or maybe it's for finding out what their body can do physically, athletically, and they want to pit themselves against some kind of a challenge, like running a marathon. Maybe it's an interest in creative expression, and there may be a desire for travel when we're not so interested in travel. We may need to stretch and go do some of these things with them, and it wouldn't be our cup of tea, but to show respect for honoring how important that passion is and that area of interest is. Or we may need to let go and find other people to do things with or be by ourselves and give them the support. I respect how important this is to you. And because I care for you. I will support your delving into this and playing it out and immersing yourself in it. And it's not my cup of tea, but I want to show that I'm in your corner and that out of my love for you, I'm going to find out what it is that you want and I'm going to support you to get it.
So there really isn't any time that is in which it's inappropriate to exhibit or show or demonstrate respect. Mm-hmm. You can do it in the middle of an argument. You can do it when you're kind of sitting together and both doing your own thing, or when you have this feeling of appreciation about the person that you're with, and the thought enters into your mind, I really respect them for whatever that might be. And after this talk ends in a few minutes, what you might want to think about doing is to bring to mind a person in your life that with whom you have what you consider to be an important relationship, and see if there's anything in particular about them that you especially respect, and just see if you are willing to contact them and say, either by phone or in person or a text or an email or however you want to do it, mm-hmm. and say, I was just thinking about you and I was just feeling how appreciative I am of blank. And I just wanted you to know that, because I've felt this a lot of times before, but I don't always say it. And I just wanted you to know that. So for no other reason than that, just wanted you to know. And see how that feels to say that. Mm-hmm. See how the other person responds to that. See how you respond to their response. Sometimes people get uncomfortable when they're shown signs of appreciation or respect, because they feel awkward. They don't quite know what to do with it. They feel a little uncomfortable. They may not always feel worthy of it. They may make a joke out of it. They might say, "Oh, it's nothing." But if they do, feel free to repeat yourself and look them in the eyes if you're with them, and say, "No, really, I mean it. I really do. I hope you can take this in, mm-hmm. but I really do feel this way. I'm just saying, you can do whatever you want to do with it, but I'm saying it." Because sometimes we may feel or have to deal with another person's resistance to accepting that level of respect. But it's worth it, even if you have to put a little effort into it.
So I would like to say something personally to you about how happy I am to be with a partner for all these many years that I really respect. And I've really respected you from the beginning. And, it's gone up and down, but mostly it's been really high. And
what do you respect me for?
I really respect that you're a kind man, that you're a gentleman, that you're a strong man, that you have such beautiful qualities, that you're a generous man. I respect that you're a hungry learner. I respect so many things about you. I feel that you're really accomplished in your career. I feel like you're a splendid father and grandfather. And I feel deserving of having somebody of your caliber. And I think that we've been good accomplices with driving each other to be respectable and worthy of respect. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons that I've reached as high as I've reached in my life is because I wanted to be worthy of you, because I deem you to be such a hell of a good guy.
Wow. That wasn't in the script.
I know. Well, you taught me how to be off script, and I really respect that.
You respect that too, huh? Respect being spontaneous. Huh?
I do.
Well, good.
And viewers like that too.
Yeah, I respect a lot of things in you too. One of them is that you are open to learning new ways of being. And even though you had been very oriented towards focusing on a script, and that's not my thing, you've been very open to learning how to trust yourself to go off script sometimes.
I don't have so much fear now.
Yeah, I know. You're really good about that.
Yeah, I've come a long way.
It's a lot more fun working with you now.
Well, you helped.
Used to be.
You helped with that.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, that was our little demo, although it wasn't planned really. So give it a shot. It's what have you got to lose? And then let us know.
It really gives you a lift in your own sense of self. When people that you have a very high level of respect for show respect for you. And we were blessed this week with having a person in our life that we have tremendous regard for, and that's Harville Hendricks, who wrote a note to everybody in his email list that our book is splendid and really worthwhile and is packed with value. And so having the endorsement from somebody that we have such high regard for, I've just been high all week, feeling so walking on air because of feeling respected by somebody that I have such great respect for. So this reciprocal energetic, do you know that we can show respect and receive respect and show respect and receive respect, is a very fine energetic to show ourselves and the people that we have high regard for what's true for us, and not to take it for granted that they know. That we need to be really explicit and proactive about mentioning it. And it makes people feel really good. It makes people feel seen. It makes people feel heard. And it makes us all feel valued. And so when we do that for each other, it's a profound shot in the arm for the well-being of the relationship.
So we've reached that time again. And we will be back next week. And the theme for next week's talk is the power of empathy and how you can strengthen your capacity to be more empathic in your life. So you're not going to want to miss that one. So see you then.